As a young child, I actually had incredibly painful and debilitating periods. I'm talking bleeding more than 7 days and writhing on the ground in pain, hugging a hot water bottle and popping Midol every chance that I got. And so I very much was convinced that being a woman was inherently awful and that my period was my body's way of betraying me. Now, the funny thing is that when I went to medical school, I actually thought I was going to be interested in gut health, and that's what I was going to focus on. Which is a good thing that I did, because gut health is everything in hormones. But I made this observation while I was there, and it's that most of the time, women's medicine is done to them instead of with them. And it really wasn't until my first year in medical school that I came to understand how my hormones worked and really how my body operated. And I had this epiphany that you shouldn't have to go to medical school to understand that you're only fertile 1 day out of the month, and that your period symptoms are actually a sign of something significant that's imbalanced in your body. So when my doctor offered me birth control, I was like, sign me up. He said I didn't have to have painful periods anymore, and in fact, if I didn't want to have a period, that was okay too. I spent years actually shutting down my period and thinking I was so clever because I was in control of my hormones. But what I really wish someone would have told me is that those painful periods were actually a sign that I probably needed magnesium and was eating too many omega-6 fatty acids in my diet. And that why they were so long is because I had estrogen dominance. And this is really important because what shows up in a 17-year-old gal as heavy, long, and painful periods can show up as things like fibroids, infertility, and even breast cancer later in life. Fortunately, I had a background in nutritional biochemistry, which I partnered with what I was learning in naturopathic medical school to be able to restore my period, clear my skin, and make friends with my hormones. That's when I realized that my period and my body was in no way betraying me. In fact, when I was able to work with my body and accept that being a woman actually came with some incredible superpowers. When I went to my doctor with concerns that I'd lost my period after birth control and suddenly had acne, his suggestion was to go right back on birth control, and he even told me I probably had PCOS all along. But this wasn't right, because I had had predictable periods before starting birth control, something that women with PCOS never experience. What he told me next was, I must be misremembering my period. But I'll let you know, when you count down your period like doomsday is coming every month, you know that your period is regular. It wasn't until I got into clinical practice that I started to identify I wasn't the only woman struggling with symptoms after birth control. In fact, the majority, if not all of women, struggle when they break up with birth control for good. I got the reputation of being the doctor who believed women's hormone and hormonal birth control stories, which propelled me into the data to look at what the science was saying about women's hormones, about hormonal birth control, and what happens when we transition off, which led me to develop protocols that support women at every phase of life, whether they choose to go on hormonal birth control, they've never been on it, or they're ready to come off, whether a baby is or is not on the agenda. I'm so passionate about putting the medicine in your hands and teaching you that you do have the ability to heal that I authored the book Beyond the Pill, which is about providing root cause solutions to common hormone imbalances and looks at how to support your body beyond using pharmaceutical interventions. I went on to develop a course with Commune called Balance Your Hormones, which will enable you to take the reins of your hormonal health and drive that chariot like the goddess you are.